Coming up next hour on Live from the 60s, the year will be the future.
Live from the 60s.
Thinking about life insurance? What if you could make one free phone call and learn your best price from nearly a dozen highly rated, price-competitive companies? Well, that's exactly what happens when you call SelectQuote Life. For example, George is 40. He was getting sky-high quotes from other companies because he takes meds to control his blood pressure. But when I shopped around, I found him a 10-year, $500,000 policy for under $25 a month. I'm SelectQuote agent Dan Savino. And believe me, if SelectQuote isn't shopping for your life insurance, you're probably paying too much.
For your free quote, call 800-928-3366. That's 800-928-3366. 800-928-3366. Or go to SelectQuote.com. Since 1985, we shop, you save.
Get full details on the example policy at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Or price could vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
The weather is brought to you by Clark's Pump and Shops of the Tri-State. For low prices on snacks, soft drinks, and quality Marathon gasoline, visit the Clark's Pump and Shop nearest you. Clark's Pump and Shops of the Tri-State. Return, refresh, refuel.
Cool Hits weather.
Overcast for your Saturday, a high of 60. Look for cloudy skies Saturday night. Slight chance of a rain shower, low 43. Sunday, we'll see cloudy skies early, then partly cloudy in the afternoon, a high of 51. Partly cloudy on Sunday night with a low dropping at 33.
Cool Hits 105.7.
Well, it's time for me to fade back into history.
Live from the 60s.
I'm the real Don Steele, and remember, the love you take is equal to the love you make. I'll be back next week, same time, same station, and most of all, same decade.
Live from the 60s.
This program was created and produced by M.G. Kelly. Executive producer, Sean Steele. Associate producer, Michael Schoenfeld. Co-producer, Krista Anderson. Live from the 60s with the real Don Steele is an M.G. Kelly production. All rights reserved.
The Cool Hits 105.7 studios are sponsored by Southern Ohio Medical Center. Cancer can be very scary, and cancer care can be complicated, but the SOMC Cancer Center takes you from what appears to be a maze to amazing care. SOMC, very good things are happening here.
Cool Hits 105.7 WLGC FM. Rena, Ashland.
Portions of this program may have been pre-recorded.
Cool Hits 105.7 and the Cool Hits Sports Network now presents Let's Talk Sports. Get ready as we talk with players and coaches, take a look at the top stories in sports, and take a look at all the scores from the night before. It's Let's Talk Sports, brought to you by Kentucky Farmers Bank, Clark's Pump and Shops of the Tri-State, Stoltz Pharmacy, River Cities Builders, and Wagner Rental and Supply. Now, let's talk sports with your host, James Collier.
And welcome into Let's Talk Sports on the Cool Hits Sports Network. James Collier, happy to have you along with us here this morning as we've got a lot of stuff in store. We're going to talk some college basketball. Of course, it's the time for the kickoff of the bowl games, and you all know how I think about bowl games. The IDon'tGiveACrap.com bowl, okay? The Dwayne Bowl, that's what it needs to be called. It's the Dwayne Bowl. There would be about as many people listening to it as some of these bowl games. But we're going to start playing bowl games this Friday. And of course, that'll take us all the way up through into January when we get into the legitimate bowls that are there. But we'll take a look at a peek of all the games that's coming up, including those semifinals games. Speaking of those semifinals games, we're going to talk with Bill Bender from the Sporting News. We'll break down the first question I'm going to ask Bill is, did the committee get everything right? Are the four teams that are in the four that he thinks should have been there? And how does Ohio State, after getting just absolutely just destroyed by Michigan, did not play in a conference championship game, sitting at home watching USC get upset, and then they slide into that spot? And I'm sorry, you cannot tell me that because of one game that all of a sudden Ohio State is still considered one of the top four teams in college football, and they get a chance to go crack at Georgia. And again, I get it. If Ohio State played in the conference championship and they lost that game, okay, maybe that's a conversation point. But what's happened here is that the committee has always put so much emphasis on being a conference champion, playing your conference championship game. Well, Ohio State doesn't play in a conference championship game. So USC plays an additional game. They lose, and in that loss costs them a shot in the Final Four. Well, heck, if that's the case, then just decline your championship game and say, no, we'll just sit here and watch. Because then on the resume, if you put USC up against Ohio State at the time, USC was ranked 4th. So now you're playing with that double issue. I am so ready for the 12-team playoff because then you're going to get a true collection of what you need in college football instead of these idiots that sit behind glass somewhere on their ivory towers and they get together and say, yeah, I think these 4 teams are the best teams in college football. And you know what? Most of the time they get a lot of things right. I think they screw this one up totally. Ohio State got credit for being Ohio State. Let's just be frank. Now, the question of it is, don't give me the Alabama should have slid in there with two. Stop. Alabama got screwed when they ended up playing their cupcake team in their FCS game, that last game of the regular season before they get into rivalry week. Yeah, this is the first year that's cost Alabama. Nick Saban trying to go and say, we've won our last 3 games. You played somebody that couldn't put 5 people together and make a pickup basketball game, for God's sakes. And you're Alabama. So don't try to use that as one of your quality wins. That don't work that way, my man. For the first time, the SEC finally, their cupcake scheduling where they say, we play all these tough games in the SEC. You're right, you do. But at the end of the year, when you schedule in UT, Chattanooga, Martin, Southville, and you beat them by 80, and then you try to call that as a quality win, I'm sorry, that don't work that way. And here's the thing. Had Alabama had a mid-major in that game, I think they probably get maybe a nod or at least a look of sliding into that 4th spot. But you can't take an FCS team and call that a quality win. Don't work that way. Not when you're in the top tier in all of college football. But either way, I'm getting on a rant right now, Dwayne. I'm in a mood, man. You better watch out. This may be an entire rant show. Goodness sakes. I can't wait to get Bill in here. I hope Angry Bender is who shows up. I want some Angry Bender this morning for college football playoff conversation. I think we're going to have some epic matchups. Michigan, TCU, I will pay to watch that football game. I love watching what Michigan's doing this year. Harbaugh and his crew have something working. Now, here's the question. How many of the guys are we actually going to have playing in these stinking bowl games? You know, it's all week. It's been this guy's opting out, this guy's opting out, this one's not playing in the bowl. Well, who do you even know who's going to play in the bowl game? And I think the most intriguing bowl game of the entire bowl series all the way through is going to be Cincinnati and Louisville. Who's going to coach that game? Because Louisville's coach is now the coach of Cincinnati. So Louisville's new coach is Purdue's former coach. So is Scott Satterfield, is he going to coach both sides? Is he not even a coach at all? I think you just roll the players out there and let them coach themselves. That would be an epic battle. No coaches whatsoever in the Fenway Bowl between Louisville and Cincinnati. That would be an epic showdown. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. My goodness, I'm on a rant already. Speaking of rant, that's coming up a little bit later on the show. There was some crazy stuff that happened this week in the world, all across and it's just nuts. One of these really hit home with me, and we'll talk about that. Randy Anderson and a couple players from Boyd County is in studio around 9:30 this morning. The Boyd County Roundball Classic, a lot of basketball going on at Boyd County today, starts at 1 o'clock. We'll have several of the games right here on the Cool Hits Sports Network. The ticker that I just threw up on the bottom of your screen there, if you're joining me on Cool TV, that's the games that's coming up today. The times, again, starts at 1 o'clock and goes all the way through this evening. So we'll have all of those on just the audio, no video out there. But Ben Spicer and myself will be out there shooting video highlights. Be sure to check out our channel on Cool TV. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and hit that little bell. That will alert you every time that we put out new material, any broadcast or any of that nature. So all that stuff will be out there so you've got it as we move forward. But we'll have all kinds of video highlights, player interview, coaches interview throughout the entire Boyd County Roundball Classic. We've got a long day of basketball ahead, but hey, that's what you get before Christmas. So, hey, let's take a break. We come back. It's the IDon'tGiveACrap.com Bowl, and all the other bowls that's out there. That's as we continue here at Let's Talk Sports on the Cool Hit Sports Network.
In addition to the Greenup location, Stultz Pharmacy's newest location is at 437 James Hanna Drive in South Shore, but has retained the name you know and love, McDonald Pharmacy, with the same great service you'll find in the Greenup location, with free delivery service and their convenient drive-thru. Get your vaccinations and allergy shots, and of course, great prescription service at Stultz Pharmacy in Greenup and McDonald Pharmacy, James Hanna Drive, South Shore.
Stultz Pharmacy.
Does your gas station or convenience store need a facelift? If so, call River City Builders at 473-4112 for your remedy. Big or small projects, River City's Builders is a company for all your needs. We have extensive experience in the petroleum industry, from routine gas dispenser and canopy maintenance to above-ground, underground tank and piping work to full-blown remodels and new builds. Call River City Builders at 473-4112 for all your petroleum needs. We'll cover your back and keep your customers pumping gas.
Quality Marathon gasoline, great monthly specials on snacks and beverages, and fantastic service. Those are the qualities of Clark's Pump and Shops. You'll find a Clark's Pump and Shop near you in the Bluegrass State and beyond. And Rick and Brent Clark want you to know that they take pride in giving you the best prices and service, and they thank you for your patronage. Clark's Pump and Shops are a division of the John W. Clark Oil Company. Clark's Pump and Shops. Return, refresh, refuel.
I'm April Perry, the CEO of Kentucky Farmers Bank. On average, our employees have been with Kentucky Farmers Bank for over 10 years, and that is important to you and us. We want you to know who you are dealing with. Whether you are financing a new home, buying a car, or remodeling your kitchen, Kentucky Farmers Bank is the better bank for all your needs.
Kentucky Farmers Bank, the better bank for all your financial needs since 1931. Located in Ashland, Summit, and Catlettsburg. KentuckyFarmersBank.com. Member FDIC and Equal Housing Lender.
The greatest songs of all time. You've got Cool Kids 105.7.
Back here on Let's Talk Sports on the Cool Hit Sports Network. Hey, if you're following along with me this morning out on Cool TV or listening here on Cool Hits 105.7 FM, if you're on Twitter, hit me on Twitter this morning at CallYourSZ Live. I'll give you a shout out on the show. I'd like to interact with the listeners a little bit. I got some stuff coming up after the first of the year. Dwayne has no idea, and just the look when I say that, he's like in pure terror right now. Oh, God, I got to do something else. No, you can't even do what you're supposed to do, for God's sakes. Yeah, Dwayne's going to be producing the show after Christmas. Good luck with that, okay? Yeah, my last Christmas, my last show for Christmas Eve may be my final show ever. It may never happen ever again. All right, so let's talk about some college football. As we look ahead, the bowl games and the bowl series start up this Friday with two games. University of Miami, Ohio, and UAB, two 6-6 teams. Yeah, they deserve to be in a bowl game. For God's sakes. That's why I said we have so many bowl games that we are digging the bottom of the barrel. You know, it kind of goes back to the movie Moneyball. When you talk about, they said there's the rich teams, then there's the other teams, then there's 50 tons of crap, and then there's us, okay? Well, they dig through the 50 tons of crap, and then they get some of these other teams, okay? You know, they were talking about there was a possibility there might have been some 5-7 teams that they had to drag in if some of the 6-6 teams didn't take it. I'm sorry, if you don't have a winning record, you don't deserve to be playing. Here's the thing. This would be perfect, okay? If you're going to put a 5-7 team into a bowl game, it needs to be the Baskin-Robbins Bowl. Because we all know everybody gets ice cream and everybody gets a trophy in today's society. That would be the most epic bowl ever. I would pay to watch that bowl. The Baskin-Robbins Trophy Bowl with two 5-7 teams. That would be phenomenal. Or the we've got the Mr. Irrelevant, whoever comes up with the last pick in the draft. I think we should have the most irrelevant bowl. The worst two teams in college football should get to go play in a bowl. People would watch that. I think people would watch that. I need it. Dwayne, are you writing this down? This needs to be we're in market strategy right here. The Cool Hits Mr. Irrelevant Bowl coming to you live next year on ESPN. All right, so let's take a look at some of these guys. I think one of the interesting bowls, and it's not because of the teams playing, it's because of the coaching stature. But you've got Cincinnati at 9-3, Louisville at 7-5 in the Wasabi Fenway Bowl at Fenway Park in Boston. Now, the interesting thing about this, So Scott Satterfield, the head coach for Louisville, left Louisville and took the head coaching job at Cincinnati. It was a very weird thing. So it was kind of done through Zoom, his resignation. His players found out about it on social media. It was so weird, okay? And, did Scott Satterfield do some great things there in Louisville? Sure he did, but I just don't think that it was ever where he wanted to be. Now the question is, Cincinnati going to the Big 12. And does he see, things are brighter on the other side with the Big 12 rather than staying in the ACC with Louisville? I don't know. But Louisville then went after their guy, and they got him back of Jeff Brom out of Purdue. And he's bringing a lot of his coaching staff with him. So this is a question is that who coaches Louisville? Scott Satterfield's not doing it. I don't think Jeff Brom's going to come from Purdue and try to coach this team because, so here's the thing. Let's just not have any coaches. No coaches in the Wasabi Fenway Bowl. They can watch from the press box, but they cannot coach on the field and let the players do everything. That would be interesting. I would pay money to see that. Here's the Jimmy Kimmel LA Bowl presented by Stifel. 7-5 Washington State, 9-4 Fresno State at 3:30 on Saturday, December 17th. Put that one on your calendar at SoFi Stadium in Inglewood, California, the $70 billion complex that we're going to put 6,000 people in to watch a high school football game. Jeez, oh Pete. Now, here we go. There was one team that made it at 5-7. And how crazy is this? These are two teams that used to be Conference USA foes. But at 5:45 on December 17th, down in Mobile, Alabama, in the Lending Tree Bowl, drumroll please, 6-6 Southern Miss and 5-7 Rice. Are you kidding me? You've got to drum up two former Conference USA foes to fill a hole, and it's a 5-7 team that needs to go in. I'm watching that game. 5:45 next Saturday. I don't think I've got any basketball games, and if I do, Jim, I'm going to have to cancel them because I'm going to live tweet that game. That is officially the irrelevant bowl game brought to you by Cool Hits Sports. So the Lending Tree Cool Hits Sports irrelevant bowl game, 5:45, live tweeting next Saturday. Ben Spicer, get ready, man. We're gonna do a live showing of this one, man. Let's head to Mobile. We need to put in credential requests. We're headed to Mobile to cover that game live. It's coming to you soon. Marshall in Yukon, they will head to the Myrtle Beach Bowl. That one's on Monday, December the 19th at 2:30. Because there will be a lot of people ready to watch a bowl game on a Monday at 2:30 p.m. Jeez, oh Pete. At least the beach will be nice, I guess. Who knows? Going ahead and down into right before Christmas, you've got on the 23rd. Now this is when bowl games start becoming decent during the midday afternoon. Louisiana, the Ragin' Cajuns, and Houston on December 23rd at 3 p.m. Wake Forest, Missouri at 6:30. Then on Christmas Eve, fans, I wrap this one up. I couldn't get you a better Christmas present than this, okay? From Honolulu, and all 300 people that's going to go watch this game, in the Easy Post Hawaii Bowl, 7-5 Middle Tennessee State, 7-5 San Diego State, 8 p.m. on ESPN. You can have your cookies and your Santa Claus reindeer, all of your dreams and stuff of what's coming the next morning, and watch Middle Tennessee State and San Diego State. My goodness. You can't, I don't even need any gifts. That right there is the gift that just keeps on giving. Gee, Clark, thanks. New Mexico State Bowling Green on the day after Christmas up in Detroit at the Ford Field and Quick Lane Bowl. Pushing ahead, here's, I think, a good matchup. On December 27th, Coastal Carolina, East Carolina, down in Birmingham in the Ticket Smarter Birmingham Bowl. Jamie Chadwell leaving Coastal, the head coach for Coastal Carolina, a solid dude. I've actually had him on my show before. He's going to Liberty. So that's an interesting move that I don't really know that it was intriguing because I don't feel like that was an upgrade. I think it's either a lateral move and almost maybe a step back, I think. But maybe Jamie Chadwell understands, okay, Grayson McCall, who's been my dude, his time is up. Maybe it's time to find greener pastures. But I think that'll be a good matchup. Coastal, East Carolina, 6:45 on ESPN in that one. All right, getting down into the bigger games. The San Diego Credit Union Holiday Bowl. Oh, yeah, baby, right there. Mark that one down on December 28th at 8 p.m. Oregon, number 15, and unranked North Carolina. 8 p.m. on Fox. Wake me up if I fall asleep, Dwayne. We'll try to keep that one in the breast, okay? All right, so now let's talk about our big games. December 31st, here's the bigger games. The Allstate Sugar Bowl, number 5, Alabama, number 9, Kansas State at noon down in Louisiana. Iowa and Kentucky down in Nashville at the Trans-Perfect Music City Bowl. That game at 12 o'clock. What time are we going on? 11? 11:30. Only 30 minutes before kickoff? 12 o'clock. No, just 12. You better double-check that, Dwayne. Will Levis is not playing in that game, by the way. It's hard to say who's going to play in these games. The big games coming up that evening. 4 o'clock is our first semifinal at the Verbo Fiesta Bowl. Number 3, TCU. Number 2, Michigan. And then at 8 p.m., number 4, Ohio State. Number 1, Georgia. We're getting ready to talk about that one in just a little bit. And then, of course, on the January the 9th, Monday, is the out at SoFi Stadium in Inglewood, the national championship presented by AT&T. All right, that's all of your WhoGivesACrap.com bowls coming up. Yeah, whatever time. Nobody's going to be watching anyways. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, I've got Bill Bender. He is going to join us. We're going to talk some college football and see what his thoughts are on the Irrelevant Bowl presented by Cool Hits. That's for the 5-7 Rice Owls and the 6-6 Southern Miss Golden Eagles. That's as we continue here at Let's Talk Sports on the Cool Hits Sports Network.
In addition to the Greenup location, Stultz Pharmacy's newest location is at 437 James Hanna Drive in South Shore, but has retained the name you know and love, McDonald Pharmacy, with the same great service you'll find in the Greenup location, with free delivery service and their convenient drive-thru. Get your vaccinations and allergy shots, and of course, great prescription service at Stultz Pharmacy in Greenup and McDonald Pharmacy, James Hanna Drive, South Shore.
Stultz Pharmacy.
Does your gas station or convenience store need a facelift? If so, call River City Builders at 473-4112 for your remedy. Big or small projects, River City's Builders is a company for all your needs. We have extensive experience in the petroleum industry, from routine gas dispenser and canopy maintenance to above-ground, underground tank and piping work to full-blown remodels and new builds. Call River City Builders at 473-4112 for all your petroleum needs. We'll cover your back and keep your customers pumping gas.
Hello, I'm Michael Bowling, Senior Vice President of Kentucky Farmers Bank. When you do business with Kentucky Farmers Bank, you're making an investment in your community. Your money stays local, we never sell your loan, and in turn, we invest in local families, churches, schools, and charities. We believe in our community, and that's why we are the better bank for loans.
Kentucky Farmers Bank, the better bank for loans since 1931. Located in Ashland, Summit, and Catlettsburg. KentuckyFarmersBank.com, member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
The weather is brought to you by Clark's Pump and Shops of the Tri-State. For low prices on snacks, soft drinks, and quality Marathon gasoline, visit the Clark's Pump and Shop nearest you. Clark's Pump and Shops of the Tri-State. Return, refresh, refuel.
Cool Hits weather.
Overcast for your Saturday, a high of 60. Look for cloudy skies Saturday night. Slight chance of a rain shower, low 43. Sunday, we'll see cloudy skies early, then partly cloudy in the afternoon, a high of 51. Partly cloudy on Sunday night with a low dropping at 33.
Cool Hits 105.7.
Back here on Let's Talk Sports on the Cool Hits Sports Network. James Collier in studio. I'm going to keep that rolling because I'm going to the phone line. And joining us now from the Sporting News is Bill Bender. Bill Bender, good morning, my friend.
Hey, if your producer's playing me into Rat, that's a good start.
Well,
one of my favorite bands.
You know, I told you, I said that we would try to rock this thing out next time that I had you in. So, you know, we try to make certain that we had something rolling there. But good morning, my man. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm a huge Rat fan, 80s hair band guy. So, but also love college football as well. So, thanks for having me on. And I'll just let you fire away. Good talking to you.
Well, let's talk first. Before we get into I think the ones that everybody's going to listen for is the college football semifinals, and to see if we got that right. So I have deemed a very special football game coming up on December the 17th at 5:45. The Lending Tree Bowl. It's named wrong. It needs to be the irrelevant Lending Tree Bowl. 5-7 Rice, 6-6 Southern Miss. This one should be a stellar football game.
Yeah. Well, 42 bowl games, all shapes and sizes, all different kinds of players. I'm one that enjoys all of them because, as I like to point out to people, I was like, listen, if you're going to say there's too many bowl games, this kind of stuff, after these 42 games are over, we're all going to be sitting here saying, when's college football start? So, Rice, obviously, they got in, I think, in part because they're APR, but, I'll watch it. I'll have it on. I'll definitely have all these games on. I won't say I watch every single play. Definitely have them on for background noise, no question.
When you look at all of the different college football bowl games, I think another one that's going to be a very intriguing is just because of all the coaching stuff around it, but the Wasabi Fenway Bowl between Cincinnati and Louisville. Do we even have a coach for either team in this one?
No, that too. And then, a rivalry game. Obviously, I think they should just let Satterfield and Brom coach just to add some even more heat to it. They play for that Keg of Nails trophy. In Fenway, some of those East Coast bowl games. When we were growing up, it was you got a bowl game as a reward, like nice weather and those kind of things. So a cold weather bowl game's always a foreign thing to me, but we'll probably have a couple.
December 24th, Christmas Eve. This is like the gift that just keeps on giving. 7-5 Middle Tennessee State, 7-5 San Diego State in the Honolulu Bowl. That one right there is one I'm sure that you're going to take away the kids' Christmas presents and the videos that you watch getting ready for Santa Claus to tune in for that one. That one's going to be a stellar matchup as well.
Hey, Middle Tennessee got it going late in the season a little bit. Had the Miami upset early in the year. That's the one that if you live in Ohio like I do and you watch that game, you're like, man, that looks beautiful out there in Hawaii. So Brady Hoke trying to get a win for the San Diego State Aztecs. Like I said, not the greatest bowl matchup, but I'll definitely tune in for a few minutes.
Now, I know you'll be tuned in on the 30th when your Bobcats head out to Tucson against Wyoming in the Barstool Bowl. That one right there is Ohio. They had a heck of a season this year.
Did, and it's unfortunate it didn't end in a MAC championship. They're now, as I hate to point out, 0-5 in the MAC championship game. But part of that was Curtis Rourke had an injury late in the season. Quarterback that had a fantastic year. And they're back in a bowl game with Tim Albin. They could have a chance to win 10 games. I don't think anybody who went to OU thought that the Bobcats would win 10 games this year, so we'll take it.
Well, let's talk about the college football semifinals. Let's start first with the rankings. Number 1, Georgia. Number 2, Michigan. Number 3, TCU. Number 4, Ohio State. Do you think that the College Football Playoff Committee got it right?
Yes, and I think they stacked them up correctly in terms of what each team accomplished. Ohio State, some people might say, well, they should be ranked number 3. Well, they didn't play for anything on Conference Championship weekend. So, and it's not the committee's job to reward Georgia, and it's not the committee's job to make it easy for Ohio State and, all these teams that played. I like the matchup. I think you get Ohio State and Georgia down in Atlanta. This is the first time Ohio State's ever played in the state of Georgia. That's something to keep in mind, and it will be tough in Atlanta for them to go win. And then Michigan, TCU, I'm happy for TCU. This playoff, for all the stories about the big blue bloods and all that, it's a good thing to have a school like TCU, that fan base, finally get in the playoff, and I'm sure they're going to be psyched up to play a really good Michigan team.
When you look at Ohio State getting in at 4, and again, we've always heard how much the committee places on conference championships and playing a conference championship. Was it a discredit to USC, though, for playing an additional game, losing, and then allowing Ohio State to slide in over top of them?
Maybe a little bit, but, I think some of it also was the fact that USC got beat twice by Utah. They had a chance to correct that, basically, and they didn't do it. They got beat 47-21. I get what you're saying, because Ohio State didn't have to put anything on the table on that last week, and there was nothing but downside for USC to play the game. But at the end of the day, I think that's the rules. Those are the rules of engagement. Ohio State had 11 wins by double digits. It's not like they're a bad team. They were just a team that had a very bad half at the wrong time against a very good Michigan team.
Looking at some of the conversations that also went around, there were some people that were trying to play out, including Nick Saban, of playing the case of why Alabama should have gotten into that spot. Is this the first time that, I think for me, since I've been covering this all the way from the inception of the college football playoff rankings, that cupcake game that they play right before rivalry week really kind of bit Alabama in the backside?
No, I think it was more – I get what you're saying. They could add another win on there. But bottom line is they lost twice. And then, he was on Fox halftime show talking about how, we would be favored against these teams. Well, they were favored against two teams they lost against. And I think that's part of it. And no team has reached the playoffs with two losses. So to me, it's like for all the times we talked about Michigan's non-conference schedule and how weak it was, you know what? They won all their games. And the object is not to lose twice, whether we like it or not, and that's part of this. And, part of me was cringing at Nick Saban politicking. The other part was, well, he's a football coach, and he can go into his locker room and say, hey, I fought as hard as I can for us, and there's no doubt about that.
What was the possibility of, after TCU loses to Kansas State there in the Big 12 championship, that TCU falls to 4 and we end up with a Michigan-Ohio State semifinal as kind of a rematch of a couple weeks prior?
There was probably some conversation about it, but at the end of the day, like I said, they rewarded TCU for playing the game and taking it into overtime and finishing 12-1 and beating 5 ranked opponents during the regular season. All of these things got washed away. Now, had Kansas State maybe blown them out and it was like 42-16, maybe Alabama could have wiggled into the conversation. Maybe Ohio State would have ranked number 3. But again, it's like for all these debates people were trying to conjure up Saturday night, I never hear, I never see it on, because this is just the way our world works, is at one point we're like, hey, committee, good job. You did a good job. You did it right. You did your job. There's nothing wrong with giving them credit.
Which one of these two games do you look at and say this is the best opportunity for a major upset going into the championship?
Well, I mean, Ohio State, I don't know that that's an upset. Like I say it in terms of, yes, Georgia's the better team and those kind of things, but it's not like Ohio State isn't loaded with 4- and 5-star guys too. There's a ton of NFL talent on both sides, and if they were to beat Georgia, it'd be very reminiscent of 2014 when they beat an Alabama team that nobody thought they could beat. So I think I don't want to say it's not an upset because it is, but at the same time, I wouldn't be like, oh my gosh, this is the biggest upset ever. Now, if TCU beat Michigan, that could happen too, because you're dealing with a Big 12 team playing a Big 10 team. So it's the style of play that comes into play there, and the team that can get the other team to kind of, play the style that they want to play. Big 10 kind of pound them, Big 12 wide open, will end up winning that game. So I won't be surprised if TCU makes Michigan a little uncomfortable too.
What do you see that TCU does that could make Michigan uncomfortable?
Deep passes, test the perimeter. Max Duggan can do both. He can, break contain with his legs. Defensively, they're fast. They've got a fast secondary that's used to playing wide-open passing attacks, so there isn't anything. If Michigan's receivers can't get separation, that'll be a problem. Physical up front. Now, can they match Michigan up front? That's the big question. Michigan's got a big and nasty offensive line, led by their center, Victor Olawutimi, who pulled down just about every major trophy this week on the interior line. So, yeah, again, it just, to me, it's 12, Big 10, which style takes over.
When you look at Ohio State and Georgia, how much does the presence there of Marvin Harrison Jr. in that game play into a fact of the opportunity that Ohio State has to hit the home run ball against Georgia's secondary?
I mean, LSU did it a little bit, but LSU was also down 35-10. So, I mean, the problem for Ohio State is Michigan's physicality bothered Ohio State. And Georgia has the same stuff, but is more, dominant up front on defense. So can C.J. Stroud, will he run a little bit to take the pressure off? Can they pop open? They'll hit some big plays with Harrison, no question. How aggressive is Ryan Day in that game, and which running backs are healthy? So, I mean, it's a long checklist for Ohio State, but everybody's talking about, okay, they got to play at Atlanta. Well, Ohio State's not going to travel. You know, they've got a fan base that's going to travel too. That's going to be an awesome game.
Yeah, that's the one thing that I think everybody looks at and say it's in Georgia and it's in Georgia's backyard or whatever, but the Buckeye fans travel very well. That one is going to be probably one of the best games, if not the best game that we see the entire year of football.
Yeah, I mean, it's got a stage that's just the same as, you know, Tennessee, Georgia. But that's one thing with Georgia. They've answered the bell every time they've played a big game. You know, the opener against Oregon, they stomped them. They play the game of the century against Tennessee, they stomped them. Play LSU in the SEC championship game. It's not even close at half. Stetson Bennett's been a big part of that. They've had a couple, you know, interesting games, Kentucky and Missouri, but I think when this team's focused, had a month to prepare, yeah, it's going to be a live game. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
Looking at the 12-team playoff that's going to kick over in 24, how is it time? Is that where we are now, that the 12 teams kind of puts us in a great position with the way everything plays out?
Well, I mean, I think the 12-team playoff to me is just there's checks and balances. Yes, it creates more opportunities for more teams, more games, more time slots, more money, more interest. But it changes the way we watch the game. Like, for me, it's, you know, that Michigan-Ohio State game. What does that really mean if they're going to play 2 weeks later? What does it mean when LSU beats Alabama for a second loss when, you know, there was this, like, round rejoicing about them losing? Now it just means they're a 6 seed. So, I mean, those things, but, I mean, we'll try it out. I think we skipped a step where 8 teams made more sense to me. And, you know, that's just the way I feel about it. But, you know, this is what they want, and we'll see how it goes.
What does the 12-team playoff do to conference championships?
I think they're never going to do it, but I think they should get rid of them. They won't because of money and all those things I just mentioned, money, viewership, interest. But, I mean, you don't see the Eagles and Cowboys playing a division championship game at the end of the year. If you're going toward a more NFL playoff model, to me it's just at the end of the regular season, find the 12 best teams. They don't need to play a conference championship. And, you know, that to me is like last weekend, for example, there was 4 conference championship games played out of the Big Five, and none had a chance to make the playoff. That's what's wrong with them.
From the Sporting News, Bill Bender joining us here talking some more. I think I got a little bit of angry Bender this morning. I like that side of you, man. You got to continue to bring the goods.
No, I'm just, you know, I have strong opinions on college football, obviously, because I want what's best for the game. And some of the changes are really good and some aren't. And that's where I'm at with it.
All right, so for our next segment, before we get ready for the national semifinals and the championship game, what bumper music are we bringing in on? Who do we want next?
Well, we saw concert tickets are up here in Columbus for Def Leppard and Motley Crue. So why don't you guys pick one and I'll roll with it.
We will have some bumper music for that definitely in the next segment. That is when we get ready for the national championship game. That'll be our next segment. So we'll definitely take care of you on the other side of that one, Bill.
Hey, you're the best. Hey, have a happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. If I don't talk to you then, thank you so much for having me on.
Hey, thanks so much. Take care, Bill. Talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Bill Bender joining us here from the Sport. He's a great guy. Bill and I go back. He was an OU alum. I'm at Marshall, and that's kind of how we kind of hooked up, and I followed around with Bill for a long time. He does a great job there. At Bill Bender 92 on Twitter, if you want to follow him. He's got some great stuff with all the college football stuff coming along. Especially in the college football playoffs for the semifinals. Bill's a great follow. He'll have coverage on all of those games. All right, let's take a break. In studio, I've got Boyd County basketball. We'll talk some Lions hoops when we return after this here on Let's Talk Sports on the Cool Hit Sports Network.
In addition to the Greenup location, Stultz Pharmacy's newest location is at 437 James Hanna Drive in South Shore, but has retained the name you know and love, McDonald Pharmacy, with the same great service you'll find in the Greenup location, with free delivery service and their convenient drive-thru. Get your vaccinations and allergy shots, and of course, great prescription service at Stultz Pharmacy in Greenup and McDonald Pharmacy, James Hanna Drive, South Shore.
Stultz Pharmacy.
Does your gas station or convenience store need a facelift? If so, call River City Builders at 473-4112 for your remedy. Big or small projects, River City's Builders is a company for all your needs. We have extensive experience in the petroleum industry, from routine gas dispenser and canopy maintenance to above-ground, underground tank and piping work to full-blown remodels and new builds. Call River City Builders at 473-4112 for all your petroleum needs. We'll cover your back and keep your customers pumping gas.
Clark's Pump and Shop now has Arco, a new brand of gasoline. Look for Arco gasoline and our brand new state-of-the-art pumps at several of our tri-state locations. Clark's Pump and Shop still offers the same clean stores and the same fast, friendly service you've always received. You may have noticed a new facelift at some of Clark's Pump and Shop locations, and we invite you to stop in and see for yourself. To learn more, visit us online at myclarkspns.com. Clark's Pump and Shop, where you can return, refresh, and refuel.
I'm April Perry, the CEO of Kentucky Farmers Bank. On average, our employees have been with Kentucky Farmers Bank for over 10 years, and that is important to you and us. We want you to know who you are dealing with. Whether you are financing a new home, buying a car, or remodeling your kitchen, Kentucky Farmers Bank is the better bank for all your needs.
Kentucky Farmers Bank, the better bank for all your financial needs since 1931. Located in Ashland, Summit, and Catlettsburg. KentuckyFarmersBank.com. Member FDIC and Equal Housing Lender.
The Tri-States Cool Hits 105.7.
Back here on Let's Talk Sports on the Cool Hits Sports Network. James Carr, happy to have you along with us here this morning. Joining me in studio, we got some members from Boyd County basketball in. Coach Randy Anderson. Coach, good morning. How are you?
Fine, Jim. How are you, buddy?
Hey, doing well. Thanks for joining us. Let's talk about the season. It's, again, December basketball. I think a lot of teams try to play that as a preseason, especially with some of the teams we've seen along the local area. Football teams making deep runs and stuff, and you get those kids back late. They don't get those basketball legs underneath them. But what do you like about what you had for your team so far, what you've seen?
So far, energy really good. Passion part of it really, really good. Feel like we were getting better defensively, which, that's kind of the key to the whole thing when it's all said and done. And so just got a great bunch of guys, and they like each other. Chemistry's been really good, and so good start.
You look at your start, 3-0. You guys have hung some pretty significant points on the scoreboard. 81 in the win over Rowan, 93 at East Ridge, and then last night 76 against Lewis County. What have you liked about the way that you've been able to score the ball offensively?
These guys have just been playing to their strengths, and we've just really been emphasizing that the more one-and-dones we get defensively gives us a chance to really run, get out in space, and be able to shoot. And we've shot it. We didn't shoot it well last night, but defensively we played good enough to get a bunch of easy buckets. So,
you look at the defensive side of things, though, 53, 55, and 40. Anytime, especially in, I think, around this area, you hold a team under 60 points, it's probably a good night for you.
Yeah, I just, like I said, I think we have continued to get better, and that's going to be an emphasis all year long. These kids are really, really skilled on the offensive side of it. And they've just really sold out here of late to really making our defense better. So,
you look at the way that you guys have scored the basketball, and I'm going to skip that number because the number that really jumps off the chart to me is probably why you're scoring it that way. You're averaging 36 rebounds a game. Jason Ellis, a double-double a night. And when you have that many rebounds, a lot of those are on the offensive side.
Yep. He's been doing a really, really good job, Jay Spur and Rhett. On that side of it, I just really feel like once again the ball's not getting stuck this year, and it's being swung, and people are sharing. I don't know what the number was last night, but I know at Round we had 17 assists against East Ridge. We had 22, and so when that number happens, then it means that everybody is continuing to move to get involved, and that leads to second shots.
How much does that give you, that the way that you want to play? You talk about those numbers, 17 assists, 23 assists. When you see that type of number, and especially with the way the scoring is, does that kind of prove your point of the way that you want to see your offense executed?
Yeah, and the guys are buying into it, and they believe in it. And once again, chemistry is in the locker room is really, really at a good high right now. And so all those numbers leads to happy guys, you know.
Well, let's talk about some of those guys that you've got this year that's had to step up. Cole Hicks is having a really great start to his season. What have you liked about the way that he's kind of paced himself to get things rolling?
He's just got a lot of energy, and I think Cole loves the game. More importantly, he loves his team, and that energy is just on both ends of it right now. So because of that, you know, he's finding himself with the ball in his hands a lot.
Jacob, we're going to talk with him here in just a second, but averaging 17 a game and the experience that he got last year as an eighth grader, it's been second to none.
And he's just done a really good job because he's drawn a lot of attention. You know, they went triangle and 2 last night, and he's seen boxing 1 already, and especially for a young player that's very skilled, not to get frustrated with it, to go ahead and be a great screener and be a guy that will move without the ball to make his teammates open, and then continue to crash the boards. It's been very impressive.
How big was it last night playing against Lewis County? Because I know the way Scott Tackett plays, he'll junk it up with the best, and you'll see boxing 1, triangle 2, 1-3-1, 2-3, and then he'll jump in your man. How many of those different did you see last night, and how beneficial is that for your team this early?
I mean, he had a couple fronts on the zone side of it, and then the triangle and 2, and then he tried to come with a little bit of pressure, and so Scott's always done a really good job and followed Joe, which really did a good job, and you look at their team right now, and you know, Gerke's hurt, but it'll be a whole different outfit come the end of February. But it was good for us last night because they play so hard that it makes us have to match that.
One kid that they have on their team that you guys had to go up against last night, the Noble kid, 44, he presents a size problem for a lot of teams. How did you like the way that you guys presented yourself defensively of trying to slow him down?
Number one, you got to run and make him work the full time that he's in there. But I thought Jason Ellis and Alex Martin did a really good job of containing him and trying to keep him up over the block and that type of thing. So just really pleased defensively how they played him.
Well, let's bring in our players here this morning. I've got in studio Jacob Spurlock and Red Holbrook. Gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
All right, y'all are going to have to move up to the microphone. Y'all act like you're – Coach, are they this bashful in practice?
Oh, no.
No.
I mean, guys that got good-looking hair like that,
Don't you wish you had hair like that, Coach?
I did at one time.
Did you really?
Yeah, that was like 40 years ago. But
I don't think I've ever seen you with hair like that. I don't think we could put you a wig on and it would look that good.
It's nice.
It would get in your way of your golf game for sure.
Exactly. Yeah.
Jacob, for you, let's talk first. The experience that you were able to gain last year as an eighth grader, how much has the game slowed down for you this year?
It slowed down a lot. It's really helped me, especially playing in the region last year and playing varsity as an eighth grader. It's helped a lot, and with my skill set.
The ability, like Coach was talking about, 17 assists, 1 game, 23 a night. When the games move, the ball's moving like that, how much does that allow you just to kind of settle down and let the game come to you?
It helps a lot, especially when we swing it fast. We get those open shots, get backside boards. It just helps us a lot this year.
3 guys averaging double figures. Cole leading the way with 23. You're at 17. Jason at a double-double. When you see Jason down in the post, how much of a warrior is that guy?
Oh, he battles down there every night. I know he's going to do his job down there. He's just a dog down there. He really is. He does it every night.
How much do you and Cole play off each other?
Me and Cole's been playing a long time together. So me and him got a lot of chemistry. We got like the similar play style. So I know that's like another me on the court out there.
Rhett, for you, that guy that's kind of been the go-to guy behind Jason on the rebounding side of things. When you guys go to war on the glass and you see the results that you're seeing, is it kind of make you hungry for that next ball that goes up to go after it as well?
Oh, yeah, and then just swing it up and get a good transition bucket. But, yeah, getting them boards really, yeah.
How much does, when you get one of those stick backs and it kind of gets that offense moving, is that what kind of like fuels the fire to get everything else moving for the offense?
Yeah, getting another offensive rebound really, and then swinging it out to a wide open Jacob, and Jacob or Cole, and you know it's going in early.
When you've got guys like you and Jason down in the post and you start playing inside out, when you see teams start to crash and you kick those out to those, is it wide open looks that you're giving these guys outside?
Oh, yeah. And you know they're really going to make it when they're wide open.
What's the thing that you've noticed this year with the team, with the way that you guys have started? Coach talked a lot about the chemistry, really playing for each other. How much have you noticed the difference between the 2 years?
Our group has really played together our whole lives. Me, Jacob, Cole, we have a couple kids not playing this year, but we've played together our whole lives, so it's really good chemistry. Last year it wasn't really that great. We didn't really swing the ball a lot. And this year we're doing it a lot, getting 17 assists in the games and all that. And that really helps a lot.
Coach, a couple other players there to throw in the mix. Obviously Griffin Taylor and Alex Martin that has helped you there in the scoring column. But you go 6 deep before you start really dropping off on the scoring. And when you've got guys averaging 7-8 points a night, even if they're coming off the bench, that's huge.
Griff, you can't say enough about Griff. He has been very, very solid, both ends of it. He knew coming in that defensively he had to get better, and he has done that. Offensively, I know these guys really like playing with him because he's just got great vision, and he'll make the next pass. You got Alex Martin, Trey Holbrook coming off the bench, and both those guys can play multiple positions. And I know our guys like playing with both of those guys just because of their energy. Drew Smith, another freshman, has put in a lot of time, and the more he plays, the more comfortable he gets. And so right now we're playing 8 deep and very confident about all those 8. But once again, this is a special group, and it's been fun to coach, and it's going to be fun to coach.
Going 8 deep, again, there's been years you've gone 9, try to push it out sometimes 10 or 11. Do you feel like even though you've got a shorter bench right now, the production that you're getting, it allows you to keep that shorter rotation because of nothing really falls off?
And you know, you're talking about like the first bunch we throw out there. They all could go 32 minutes. You know, just sometimes a break here and there, sometimes foul trouble, whatever. But like I said, the more we get into this, and the more that those other 3 coming in get time and experience, it just makes us deeper and stronger.
Guys, I'm going to ask you a question. Who's got the better hair, you guys or Coach?
No doubt about it, us.
Jacob didn't say anything. Red jumped right on it, Coach. You noticed it, right?
Oh, I know it.
Jacob over here trying to play it cool close to the vest right now.
I like Coach's hair. It styles me.
He said it styles you, Coach.
Hey, put a little heat on them. They were very intrigued with the session before us because Jay Spur's a big Ohio State fan, and Rhett says Georgia for sure. So
so all right. So Jacob, who's in the national championship game?
Ohio State, Michigan.
Okay, Rhett.
I'm going to go TCU, Georgia.
Oh, you're going with the upset of Michigan.
Yeah.
Okay. Coach, who you got?
It don't really matter. And if I make a decision here, I put myself,
Coach is like, as long as it's 60 degrees, I don't care. I'll be playing golf somewhere.
Exactly right.
Let's talk about the event today. Second day of the Round Ball Classic. 5 games starting off at 1 o'clock today. You guys played late last night. You've got Pikeville, I believe, coming up later on in the middle section today. What do you like about the back-to-back games against 2 quality opponents?
It's just really good early. Our December is loaded, and it's good for these guys to be tested early and see where we are and see where we need to get. Let me put in a little plug for Coach Fraley with the round ball. Not quite sure what year this is of doing it, but I've told Coach time and time again, whenever he does get out of coaching and maybe education, he needs to get into entertainment world because he puts on a great event, and I mean that sincerely. He does a really good job. The format of it and the people that he gets to come in here, it's going to be a loaded day. I mean, starting with Johnson Central and Raceland, I think it's going to be very good. Then you got Ashland GRC at 3, then a girls game at 4, and we get to play Pikeville at 6. Then Coach will play St. Albans at 7:15. But he just does a really good job with the whole event. So it's going to be a busy day. Getting back to your question, we're excited about playing Pikeville. Pikeville was, just had a great year last year, and they lost some people, but have reloaded, and it's going to be a real challenge for us tonight.
Looking forward to seeing you guys in action for the first time this season, and always a pleasure coming out to you guys do a stellar job with everything you do, whether it's a single game or an event like this. You guys do it class act.
We thank you.
Coach, thanks very much for joining us here this morning. Guys, thank you all for coming in.
Thank you.
We'll see you all in a little bit.
Yeah.
Coach Randy Anderson, Red Holbrook, and Jacob Spurlock joining us here this morning. The Border Sporting Goods Rant of the Week when we continue after this here on Let's Talk Sports on the Cool Hits Sports Network.
In addition to the Greenup location, Stultz Pharmacy's newest location is at 437 James Hanna Drive in South Shore, but has retained the name you know and love, McDonald Pharmacy, with the same great service you'll find in the Greenup location, with free delivery service and their convenient drive-thru. Get your vaccinations and allergy shots, and of course, great prescription service at Stultz Pharmacy in Greenup and McDonald Pharmacy, James Hanna Drive, South Shore.
Stultz Pharmacy.
Does your gas station or convenience store need a facelift? If so, call River City Builders at 473-4112 for your remedy. Big or small projects, River City's Builders is a company for all your needs. We have extensive experience in the petroleum industry, from routine gas dispenser and canopy maintenance to above-ground, underground tank and piping work to full-blown remodels and new builds. Call River City Builders at 473-4112 for all your petroleum needs. We'll cover your back and keep your customers pumping gas.
Hello, I'm Michael Bowling, Senior Vice President of Kentucky Farmers Bank. When you do business with Kentucky Farmers Bank, you're making an investment in your community. Your money stays local, we never sell your loan, and in turn, we invest in local families, churches, schools, and charities. We believe in our community, and that's why we are the better bank for loans.
Kentucky Farmers Bank, the better bank for loans since 1931. Located in Ashland, Summit, and Catlettsburg. KentuckyFarmersBank.com, member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
The weather is brought to you by Clark's Pump and Shops of the Tri-State. For low prices on snacks, soft drinks, and quality Marathon gasoline, visit the Clark's Pump and Shop nearest you. Clark's Pump and Shops of the Tri-State. Return, refresh, refuel.
Cool Hits weather.
Overcast for your Saturday, a high of 60. Look for cloudy skies Saturday night. Slight chance of a rain shower, low 43. Sunday, we'll see cloudy skies early, then partly cloudy in the afternoon, a high of 51. Partly cloudy on Sunday night with a low dropping at 33.
Cool Hits 105.7.
The only thing overcast is our producer's brain. Okay, that's it. Hey, check this out. I'm finally getting my shirt. Here we go. Dickie Tiller, I'm going to give you a shout-out on the air. He texted me the other day. He said, what size shirt do you wear? I said, for the last 10,000 times that you've texted me, it's still the same thing. But finally getting some gear. Jim Forrest hooking me up with. Hey, real quick before I get into the Border Sporting Goods Rant of the Week, Rowan County, they've got a great opportunity today for a very special event. They're up in Knightstown, Indiana. And if you're not for sure where that is, if you've ever watched the movie Hoosiers, that's where they are. They're at the Hoosiers Gymnasium. The girls and the boys are both playing Somerset today. The girls getting ready to go on the floor. But I talked with Matt Stokes and Coach, my goodness, I just totally lost his name. How in the world did I lose? No, from Rowan County. Thacker, Coach Thacker. My goodness, I'm sorry, Coach. You can blow me up on that one, Coach Sean Thacker. Listen, man, my brain is clogged because of my producer. Okay, but Coach Thacker, he has some ties back to Somerset from his time there. So they got together, they set all this up, and so they're up there. So the girls are going to play at 10. The boys are playing at noon. And I've seen some pictures. They got to go over to the gym. They had a Christmas tree up on the stage and stuff. So the girls, I saw some pictures from that last night. But I texted Coach Stokes that I was going to get him on the show this week, and then I remembered, oh, wait a minute, you guys are in Knightstown. They were the winners of the EKC tournament on the girls' side of things. So, but we'll get them in studio and coming up here pretty soon. Well, it's time for the Border Sporting Goods Rant of the Week. Border Sporting Goods at US 60 in Canonsburg for all your hunting and fishing needs, as well as great deals on Liberty gun safes. See the good folks out at Border Sporting Goods. Also on those Liberty gun safes, they're running a rebate on top of the sales that's going on right now. So not only you got a great deal, but you also got a rebate that's going to get you an added saving on that Liberty gun safe. So I'm also going to be out at Border Sporting Goods here in just a little bit, shaking hands and kissing babies. Brad, get ready. I got to come out and drop a little bit. I've got to get some Christmas presents. So I'll be out of Border Sporting Goods for just a little bit before I head over to the Round Ball Classic. Looking forward to seeing Brad and the gang out there in just a little bit. Well, it's time for the Border Sporting Goods rant of the week, and this one happened earlier this week, and it was a very scary situation for a lot of people in this area. So I'm not really sure what happened, how this transpired, or where it kind of came from, but there was initial reports that rolled out first. The first place I heard coming out of was Huntington High, that there was an active shooter in the school and that there had been several people that had been shot, students. When it was all said and done, there were 11 total calls that were put into 911 centers in West Virginia, all reporting around the same time frame that there was an active shooter in the building and that numerous students had been shot. I saw a report yesterday from the I think it was the West Virginia Resource Group. It's kind of the group over the resource officers. The FBI is involved in this now. But the initial call that went into South Charleston High School, which was the first one to go in around 8:15 that morning, Huntington High was around 8:30, was very detailed information. The caller who said that they had very broken English, they were very difficult to understand. It was about a 2.5-minute conversation with the 911. They identified themselves as a person that worked inside the school district. They gave an exact location, the room number, the name, what was in that room, everything. And they said that there had been 17 people, students that had been shot. Now, here's what this is. Whether you realize this is terroristic threatening, okay? And I hope when they find this person or persons that they throw the book at these people and get them with how many ever students and faculty members and everybody who was in that building. That should be a count of terroristic threatening for every single one of those people. Now, speaking from firsthand account, I've been involved in a school shooting. I was inside East Carter High School in the early 90s when that shooting happened. I was directly above the room that the shooting took place. So this hit home for me, hearing that kind of stuff. Huntington, it was on Wednesday. Huntington High was supposed to celebrate their first ever state championship for football. And when I heard that this is where I first heard from was Huntington High, it kind of scared me because I've got some friends in Huntington High, including their head coach, Billy Seals. So for all of this to be a hoax, on one side of that, you kind of take a deep breath and you're like, okay, thank God that's all it is. But on the other side, this is not something to be taking as a hoax. And people trying to create havoc and issues by saying that there has been a school shooting. I was not happy about this. There was not a lot of people happy about this. And, again, thank God that it was a hoax. But at some point, this madness has to stop. Enough of the games, the jokes of trying to get under people. It's got to stop. One way or the other, enough's enough. But, again, if you can't find something else better than to do with your time, go get a hobby. Dwayne needs a friend. For God's sakes, you can keep him entertained. That's the Border Sporting Goods rant of the week. A big thanks to my guests this week, Bill Bender from the Sporting News, Randy Anderson, Rhett Holbrook, and Jacob Spurlock. Cheetah Jellyfish. My guys, I hooked you up. That'll do it for this week. I'll be back with you next week right here on the Cool Hit Sports Network and Cool TV. Catch us out at the Round Ball Classic. We got a lot of games we'll be bringing you action with starting at 1 o'clock with Raceland and Johnson Central. For Dwayne Elliott and everyone here at the station, I'm James Carr. Have a good weekend, everyone.
You've been listening to Let's Talk Sports on Cool Hits